Everybody called her Granny Meadows, but she was my real grandma, and she delivered me too. She was there when everyone fell to a hush because I was born with a veil on my face. That's what my grandma called it. She's the one who raised me. She was kind of a medicine woman. She took care of folks, black and white. I went with her all over these parts. It was on one of these visits that she told me about the veil. We were walking home, and she got ahead of me. I saw something, a lady, a real fancy dresser. My mother was a fancy dresser too, so I thought it was her walking down the road. So I ran to her and called out to her.
Mama, Mama, over here.
She kept going. Then my grandma turned around.
Fanny.
I'm going to meet Mama.
No, Fanny, come here now.
I knew by the sound of Granny's voice that I needed to come back. All of a sudden, the fancy dresser turned and disappeared. Grandma and I walked a long time, maybe a mile, before talking.
Let's rest our feet here.
Granny, why wouldn't you let me go to her?
She isn't who you think she was, child. And this is not the right time of day to be walking with spirits.
You mean she wasn't real?
Oh, she was very real. As real as you and me. She once walked and talked on this earth just like we're doing. But she's on the other side of the veil now. Most times they just want to be remembered. They show themselves and that's that. Sometimes they need to pass on some news to people on this side. But every once in a while, there's one that wants something more, and you have to be careful.
Something more like what?
Oh, honey, when you get a little older, I might tell you. But I don't want to scare you now. That lady probably just wanted to be remembered. But I don't want you walking with a spirit when the time's not right. She should have known better. That's why I called you back.
How did she know I'd see her?
You were born with a veil on your face. I was too. You were born with half a veil. That means that you can see things, people, and ideas that used to be. I was born with a full veil. That means I see things toward the future.
And some things that I used to wonder about started making sense. How she would know if someone was going to get well or die.
Oh, like you said, Mrs. Jones probably isn't going to make it?
Oh no, honey. Only God knows those things. What I see are more like patterns and pictures. Take Mrs. Jones. If the patterns stay the same, if the weather stays damp and cold, and the cracks in her floors aren't covered, then that cough is going to settle in her lungs. She'll be too cold to get up and move it out of her lungs, and then the pneumonia's going to take her. Now, if that pattern changes, she's got a chance. But when we tended her, I saw her in her wedding dress. There's only 2 occasions a woman wears that dress. When she gets married and when she gets buried. And Mrs. Jones is already married.
Will I see the future too?
No, the half veil sees the present and the people from our past.
Too bad. I wish I could see the future.
My grandmother hugged me. It was my signal to know she was done talking. We'd walked that road together many times over the years to come. We'd walk it for Mrs. Jones' funeral. We'd walk it after Grandma delivered a set of twins and I got to help. I've seen a lot of things going down that road, but I never saw the fancy dresser again. One of these days, though, I'm sure I will.